Hello everyone, so this is a re-upload of a video I released yesterday on RayGun, the Australian breakdancing extraordinaire. That video, despite being completely fair use, has been taken down by the Olympic Committee. They struck it down illegitimately, mind you, because I showed clips of RayGun's dance in my video, which is not allowed under YouTube's terms of service, because what I did was transformative. I didn't show the clip in its entirety, I didn't show her entire dance, I didn't even show the opponent's dance. And the fact that I was playing defense for RayGun for most of it, even though I did mock her dance, is just insane. They have absolutely no right to take down my video. It's a tiny little clip of her dancing. It's transformative because I talk about it and it's needed for the video. I've appealed it and it's gone nowhere, but I think I'll do a video on the copyright system another day. So this is a re-upload of that video with those parts removed. In this version of the video, the dance will be removed. So if you want to go and see RayGun's dance, you can go and do that on Twitter. I'll be putting some other clips in place of the dance so you know where it was, but I assume everyone's seen RayGun's dance by now anyway, so hopefully my video will stand. The ironic thing is that in this video I say that RayGun is innocent of basically everything she's been accused of, but I then point at the Olympic Committee and say that they have been taking down videos on YouTube at an alarming rate. I say that they've been scrubbing this clip of RayGun off the internet everywhere they can find it, and this only goes to prove what I said. Anyway, I'm re-releasing this video, much to the chagrin of the Olympic Commission, because I believe I have something to say, and I really don't care what they think. At the end of the day, the Olympic Commission will allow child rapists to compete in their competition, but will not allow me to post a video taking the piss out of someone's bad dance moves. So, enjoy. No matter the conspiracy theory or how outlandish it is, you will always find someone who will believe it. We now live in a post-2024 Olympics world, and they were pretty divisive. From something as minor as the opening ceremony, which divided audiences, all the way up to the more sinister side of things, there has been an awful lot to talk about this year at the Olympics. But one of the funnier controversies and ensuing conspiracy theory is that about RayGun, the breakdancer who represented Australia in the competition. RayGun is named such because her name is Rachael Gun, and not because she can fire high-intensity concussive blasts of hard light from her eyes. That's just a happy coincidence. This was the first time that breakdancing was ever featured in the Olympics, and that could be something to do with the Olympic agenda, which was drawn up in 2020. This agenda says that the Olympics is based on 3 pillars. Those 3 are credibility, sustainability, and youth. So introducing breakdancing may open up the competition to a younger audience. Because as we all know, Generation Alpha love 2 things: Fortnite and counterculture dances from the 1980s.
This is called the random.
But for whatever reason, it was introduced. It was. Because it was its first ever showing at Olympic level, people expected one hell of a show. After all, this was a huge opportunity for the breakdancing community and just for audiences at large to see something new, but also for all those breakdancers to finally be taken seriously as athletes and not just some sort of side project or side movement next to music. Enter RayGun, who went on to deliver one of the weirdest and most embarrassing Olympic performances perhaps ever.
Alright, here's the 411, folks. Say some gangster is dissing your fly girl. You just give him one of these.
Predictably, people went on to make fun of RayGun online. This is the internet. People will be incredibly critical, as I've found out, not only because her performance was not great, but also because she scored a grand total of 0. She didn't even get a single pity point, which is bad news for people like me, because I live off pity points. This also raised the question of how the hell RayGun was selected to represent her country. Surely Australia had better options than RayGun, and such a conspiracy was born. The conspiracy alleged that RayGun and her husband founded the Australian Breaking Association, and that it was this body which selected the candidate who would represent Australia in the Olympics. The alleged process for this is that the ABA would hold a qualifier in which her husband was on the board of judges, and then he would just decide to vote for her, as would the rest of the panel, and RayGun was voted in to be their representative at the competition. This story went so far that a change.org petition was actually made for it. You can't find it online. It's gone, unfortunately. The main point of the change.org petition was to ask for transparency and accountability around how RayGun came to represent Australia at the Olympics. It also made some other allegations that Australian tax dollars were used to fund this qualifier, and ergo it would be fraud as well, as the proper due process wasn't done and she just wanted a holiday. But who is RayGun? RayGun is actually a doctor. She has a PhD. Her PhD is in breakdancing. Somehow. Her thesis is online and you can go and read it. I don't recommend it. But she did co-author it with a breakdancer and anthropologist called Lucas Marie, who stuck up for her and said that she won her qualifiers fair and square. On a side note, I have looked at her thesis after I read online that there was some very critical thoughts on it. Yeah, I don't think it's particularly good. It kind of feels like you're just using big words to fill up the word count, you know. I think we've all been there if you've read an essay, but I digress. I guess they're just making anyone a doctor these days. In reality, the WDSF is the body which decides the Olympic qualifier for dance-related things. This body initially specialised in ballroom dancing and then came to also incorporate breakdancing. This petition claimed, without sources, that Gun and her husband, breaking coach Samuel Free, had manipulated the entire WDSF, infiltrated the organisation, and then used it to select Gun. Now you might notice this is a different conspiracy theory to the last one where they made their own organisation. This one alleges that they infiltrated the body that was already there. So there's sort of two versions of the same story. Either way, corruption, nepotism, fraud, all the things are pretty much the same in terms of why it's bad, but the ingredients are a little bit different. This petition claimed that RayGun actually judged herself along with her husband at the qualifying Oceania Championship. But you can tell this isn't right because the judges list is actually freely available to look at online. You can go do so if you don't believe me. It's on the WDSF website. Samuel Free, her coach, while we're on the topic, is also an interesting character. Samuel Free is not a good breakdancer, in my opinion, as an uneducated person, as someone who doesn't have a PhD in breakdancing. But I don't have to be a pilot to know when you've crashed the plane. But I can tell he's her coach, because they move the same, like they've had something shown. There's no wonder she's as bad at breakdancing as she is if that's her coach. Now, onto the claim that they founded the Australian Breaking Association, also known as Ozbreaking. A spokesperson for Ozbreaking confirmed to Vox that neither Rachael Gun or her husband founded the organisation. Vox then concluded that this one email that claims they didn't found the organisation makes them completely clear of all the other claims. From this one email, they drew the conclusion that they were not responsible for managing, funding, or having any direct role in this group, which I don't think there is evidence to say that either. While the petition has no sources, while the petition makes claims, most of which are erroneous and just come out for an air, I don't think that just because Vox say they didn't found the organisation, you can't draw that they've got no interaction with it. Just because they didn't make it doesn't mean they're not a part of it, or they don't know people in it, or there's no corruption whatsoever. Now, I personally don't think they are involved in Ozbreaking in any major way, but I think the wording used in the email by Ozbreaking to Vox is very, very specific and deliberate. They specifically claim they didn't found the organisation. Ergo, if it were to come out that they did have some major involvement, say funding, management, organisation, even just being friends with the owners, which could be a conflict of interest, their statement's still correct. They didn't found Ozbreaking, and they're not liars, they didn't lie to the media. I just think it's maybe a little bit too specific, but Let me know what you think in the comments. RayGun does actually have a past breakdancing career though. She's not just a breakdancing theorist. She doesn't just write a thesis and then never actually boogie. Before her Olympic appearance, RayGun actually represented Australia in multiple world championships between 2021 and 2023. She was also a judge at Red Bull's preeminent BC1 breaking contest. RayGun did win her qualifiers. There's footage of this online. You can find it. It's readily available. Now, as someone who knows nothing about street dance, I don't think she should have won. Okay. My everything died. Okay. My camera had an issue. The conspiracy's real. I'm changing my mind. They're coming for me. Vox claims that RayGun benefited from her whiteness in winning her competition and in her position in the Olympics, but I really don't think there's any evidence to suggest that whatsoever. The breakdancing community in Oceania is very, very small. In her thesis, she claims it's around 400 people. That's not a lot. So there probably weren't that many people to pick from to begin with. The thing is, I'm just not sure that the argument that she got in because she's white makes much sense. You're going to be competing at the Olympics, the world's most multicultural and diverse competition in the world. There would be no strategic advantage to putting someone forward who is white just for the sake of it. They're not going to get any more or less points from the judges because they're white or any other colour. It's the Olympics. You have a diverse raft of judges, you have a diverse raft of athletes. It doesn't make sense. Now, I know that you could also say that it's not about how she'll do in the Olympics, is why they picked she's white. It's because of a societal benefit she gets from being in Australia, where they think we want to put someone who's white through personal bias. Again, I don't think that's particularly true, or it rings true. Breakdancing, or this particular competition, was decided by a panel of judges who are all other breakdancers, who are intimately aware of the culture, the dance, and everything else. It's their thing. They're breakdancers. I don't see why they would have any bias to doing that. It's not even like they're a group of executives who go, oh, it's marketable to put a white person forward. Because they're athletes themselves. They weren't executives. Again, I don't think that there's much weight to this. I just think that's Vox spouting off. Because if you look at any of Vox's other articles, yeah, they've got an agenda, right? They've got an agenda. Now, I am more inclined to believe, or more sympathetic towards the suggestion, that RayGun has friends on the panel. Indeed, RayGun might have people who like her, she likes them, possibility that she was picked because of friends on the panel than anything to do with her actual identity. There may be arguments to say that her education and her PhD have done her some benefits though. For example, Red Bull, when they put her on a panel of judges, they might not actually know who she is when they book her to be one of the judges. They see that she's a breakdancer and they see she's got a PhD. Put her on the panel, she must know what she's talking about, for example. But we see her compete in a qualifier, and she's even competed against other white people. Why not put them through? I just think Vox is being incredibly disingenuous, and also, it doesn't help the misinformation. We're already dealing with a conspiracy theory, guys. All in all, the conspiracy theory is utter bollocks. In my opinion, there was no plan for RayGun and her husband to defraud Australian taxpayers, to pull one over on the Olympic Commission. I just don't see it at all. Now, could it be possible that people on the judging panel like her? Maybe they're a little bit favouriteist? Absolutely. Of course it is. You go to any talent show anywhere and you'll see that immediately. After all, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I see why this conspiracy theory exists. Australia's government, like every government, has been prone to corruption in the past. Wow, what a brave statement for me to make. But go watch a YouTube channel like Friendly Geordies and you'll quickly see just how bad it can be in modern day Australia. He uncovered some corruption in his local constituency and found his house got firebombed. But this just isn't one of those times. But to not be a party pooper, I want to give you a new conspiracy theory to chew on. This is both a little bit shady and very annoying, particularly for people like me. You cannot find the full footage of RayGun performing at the Olympics. Try and find the full thing. I can't. I've tried. Hours. It's gone. It's gone. You can find clips. You can find snippets. 10 seconds, 20 seconds, even 30 seconds if you're lucky. That's it. It's gone. The only exception are reaction channels. So if you've got a channel with somebody reacting to it, then it's allowed to be on YouTube. But all the rest of it has been taken down. And you might say, well, yeah, you know, it's a valid copyright claim. The Olympics own it. What's the big deal? But they haven't done this with their other shows. There's plenty of other footage of other athletes in other competitions performing this year at the Olympics, and in the past years of the Olympics too. And past footage of the Olympics which was uploaded around the same time. It's not like it was uploaded a year later. People have been uploading it freely and not getting struck down. So why the specific enforcement of copyright on this clip? I suggest a theory to you. The Australian government and RayGun have been working together quite hard on this. It doesn't take much, a couple Google searches, and you can find that the Australian government have stuck up for RayGun at every single turn. Now that Australia and her are a laughingstock on the global stage, what better way to make yourself look less stupid than to get rid of the evidence? But that's just a theory, a conspiracy theory. Now let me know in the comments what you think to it. Do you think that this is maybe some plot by the Australian government and RayGun Incorporated to get rid of all the footage of her acting an idiot on stage? My camera's wobbling, the cat is sat on my cable. 1 minute. Oh, here she is. Hello. Let me know what you think in the comments, because I'm not sure that there's anything to this. Maybe I'm just being a bit of a conspiracy theorist. This is it. This is who interrupted me. You feel guilty? Yeah, well, I don't think she does.